What if I told you that even the greatest empire in history, the one that believed it was invincible, lost an entire army in just one day? A legion of soldiers, more than 20,000 men, simply disappeared as if they had been swallowed up by the earth itself. Today, you will find out what really happened on the day Rome shook. This video will reveal not only the details of this tragedy, but also what it meant for Rome's image of power and why this defeat echoes to this day. Picture the scene: an empire that ruled lands from the Mediterranean to the heart of Europe, where its Roman eagles commanded absolute respect. And yet, in the face of an apparently inferior enemy, the most disciplined military machine of antiquity was shattered. What you're going to hear now isn't just a war story. It's a reminder that no human power is eternal. If you love history and want to understand the secrets behind Rome's greatest victories and defeats, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because here you will learn facts that change the course of the world. Now, before continuing, I need to ask you something important. If this topic has already aroused your curiosity and you want to discover truths that do not appear in school books, leave your like on this video and subscribe to the channel. This way, you show YouTube that this content deserves to reach more people. And in return, I promise to bring more and more hidden stories, revelations, and secrets that will change the way you see the past. Click subscribe and activate the bell, because each video here is a unique journey through Rome that few dare to reveal. Rome was at the height of its glory. Its borders stretched for thousands of miles, uniting seas, cities, and peoples under the weight of its golden eagle. To many, the empire seemed unbreakable, as if no enemy could challenge it. Roads connected distant regions, legions marched in discipline, and the Senate displayed a political power that impressed the world. But the grandeur hid cracks. Rapid expansion brought challenges: hostile territories, inhospitable climates, and peoples who did not bow to the Roman flag. They were warriors who knew every stone, every tree, every curve of their territories, and, in the heart of these lands, the resistance that would bring Rome to its knees was born. In this scenario, Roman confidence turned into excess pride, and it was this arrogance that would make room for a defeat that no one imagined possible. To understand the dimension of the tragedy, it is necessary to know what a Roman legion represented. They were not just soldiers, they were living war machines. Each legion brought together thousands of men, trained from a young age, molded by discipline, sweat, and steel. They carried gleaming shields, sharp spears, deadly short swords. They knew how to move as a single body, every step calculated, every command obeyed without hesitation. The presence of a legion on any border was enough to command respect and fear. For the Romans, losing a legion was losing not only soldiers, but a symbol of their invincibility. The golden eagle that led the ranks was not just a banner, it was the soul of unity. When an eagle fell, all of Rome felt the weight of shame. Therefore, the loss that would come would not only be military, but psychological, directly reaching the heart of the empire. Rome was mistress of roads, walled cities, and cultivated fields, but when it advanced beyond its borders, it encountered a different enemy: nature itself. Dense forests, treacherous swamps, and mist-covered mountains became perfect allies for the peoples who lived there. To Roman soldiers, accustomed to fighting in open fields and following rigid formations, those territories were like living prisons. The sound of birds could hide the movement of enemy warriors, and each tree was a possible shelter for an ambush. While Rome believed that discipline was enough to win, the barbarians knew that the terrain was their greatest weapon. It was in this clash between order and chaos, between paved roads and invisible trails, that the tragedy that would mark the memory of the empire was born. The Romans called them barbarians. But for those peoples, Rome was the invader who threatened their freedom. Among them were the Germans, warriors forged by cold, hunting, and tribal warfare. They did not have the discipline of the legions, but they possessed something that Rome underestimated: the absolute dominion of its lands and the ferocity of those who fight for their own survival. Led by charismatic chieftains, these men knew where to strike, when to retreat, and how to disappear without a trace. For the Romans, it was like fighting shadows. The enemy did not appear in the open, did not follow known rules. He lurked in the forests, moved in silence, appeared and disappeared like a ghost. This strategy, invisible and unpredictable, was enough to turn the greatest power of antiquity into prey to a relentless hunt. With almost arrogant confidence, the legion marched in neat ranks. The shields gleamed in the grey light of the sky. The spears formed a wall that seemed impassable. The rhythmic sound of Roman sandals echoed through the narrow trails, as if each step affirmed Rome's superiority. But the reality around it was different. Tall trees blocked the view, muddy trails slowed down, and danger signs were ignored. To the soldiers, it seemed like just another campaign, another victory to be added to the empire's endless list. However, each meter advanced was, in fact, a closing siege. The barbarians watched them in silence, hidden among logs and shadows, waiting for the right moment. Rome was heading towards a death trap without even realizing it. Suddenly, the silence of the forest broke. Wild screams echoed through the trees, followed by a shower of spears and arrows that rained down on the Romans. The formation, once impeccable, fragmented amid panic. The muddy terrain prevented quick maneuvers. Shields rose in despair, but there was no safe direction. Enemies appeared from all sides, as if the forest itself had created warriors. Commanders shouted orders, but their voices were swallowed up in chaos. Discipline, a trademark of Rome, gave way to the instinct for survival. Men fell, others ran aimlessly, and the legion, which was supposed to be an unbreakable wall, dissolved into confusion and fear. It was total collapse. Rome, for the first time, seemed vulnerable in the face of enemies fighting like ghosts. When the battle ceased, the forest kept only silence, and bodies scattered on the ground soaked in blood and mud. The entire legion had ceased to exist. There were not enough survivors to tell clearly what happened. The standard with the Roman eagle, a symbol of honor and power, was taken by the enemies, a symbolic blow as devastating as the defeat itself. For Rome, it was as if those men had been swallowed up by the earth, disappearing without a trace. Only rumors and bones found years later kept the memory of the tragedy alive. Roman pride was tarnished, and the idea that his legions were invincible had been crushed amid the trees of a foreign land. It was the beginning of a scar that Rome would never forget. The loss of an entire legion was more than a military disaster. It was a blow to the heart of the empire. Rome, accustomed to expanding its borders with absolute confidence, now tasted the bitter taste of vulnerability. The Senate was seized by shock. Generals questioned his strategies, and the people, once proud, murmured in fear. For the first time, the idea that Rome could be defeated ceased to be fantasy. Campaigns in barbarian regions were rethought. The advance became more cautious, and the shadow of that defeat hung over each new engagement. The dominated peoples saw in the episode proof that the Roman eagle was not immortal, and many enemies found inspiration to resist. Rome was still powerful, but the invincibility had been broken, and that changed everything. More than a defeat on the battlefield, the demise of that legion was a brutal reminder that even the greatest empires can bleed. Rome, which seemed eternal, found that its power had limits when it faced determined enemies and unforgiving terrain. The tragedy became a symbol of wounded pride and bitter lesson, echoing for generations. Even today, historians and curious people wonder, How could the world's most feared war machine be destroyed in a matter of hours? This is the mark of the Lost Legion, an enigma that mixes history and myth, showing that no human domain is absolute. And for us, the reflection remains. Even the most imposing forces can collapse when they underestimate the enemy and rely too much on their own greatness. If this video has already brought value to you, showing that even Rome, the largest empire in history, also had its days of weakness, reciprocate by leaving your like and subscribing to the channel. Just as Rome learned lessons from its defeats, you can also transform the way you view the past and uncover secrets that reveal deep truths about the present. Your subscription helps me to continue bringing content that transforms curiosity into knowledge, and knowledge into power.